मनस संचर रे मानस संचर रे ब्रह्मणि 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 मानस संचर रे ब्रह्मणि
So speaking of environmental causes, your video, the Chennai Porambokku video, has been viral. It has reached a lot of people. So getting into that project, did you anticipate this kind of a response?
No, we did not. No, I think none of us thought it would go viral. I mean, we don't think about these things. I think when you do projects, it came about completely through a casual conversation that Nityan and Jairam, who has produced the video, and I had on various issues. I had traveled to Ennore and Kodungayur, and there's a huge dump yard there, and I've seen the total mess that we have created, and we are in fact imposing upon the people's lives there with hardly any sensitivity to what we have done to their lives at the expense of our own benefits and comforts. And this was about maybe 2 years ago. Yeah, probably 2 years ago when we had gone on this trip. And we were just having conversations about music, about art, and about environment. And Nityanand, we call him Niti casually said, suppose we shoot a video here, how will it be? I said, yeah, it's a very good idea. Why don't we think of something? And we just left it that way. We had not talked about it after that. At the same time, maybe about 6 months later, I was exploring possibilities of what happens in Carnatic music in terms of aesthetic questions on what kind of language can be used in the music. I think we have a lot of classist notions about it in terms of what kind of Tamil, what kind of Telugu. We have to just accept that the kind of language we use belongs to a certain section of society. And so this thing is going in my head saying, suppose we bring other dialects into what we sing, will it aesthetically work? Because it sounds socially and politically as a very sound argument. But whether aesthetically something works is something just very different. Only if you do it, you know. So these are all parallel things that are happening, and I was working with other writers, and I was doing different things, exploring things. And one day, Niti sent me this email with the Porambokku song, which had then been released as a rock song. I don't know whether you saw the rock version of it. That's the first version. And it's written by Kebar Vasuki, who's a Tamil rock. He has a band called Kurangan. And Kurangan had performed it. It was a lovely video, and I saw it, and he sent me the lyrics, and he said, can we do something about it? And in a way, it bridged many questions. It bridged direct environmental issues with direct sociological issues on caste and dialect and class, and also aesthetic issues about an art form. And how should language and the art be married together? So, in a way, it kindled a lot of thoughts, and I looked at the lyrics, and I immediately thought that, yes, this will work. We did some tweaking to the lyrics because some paragraphs were added, we did some adjustments, and we said, okay, let's give it a shot. And I remember going to Sriram Kumar, my very dear friend and colleague, and I mailed it to Sriram, and I said, Sriram, can you tune this? And within 5 minutes, he said, yes, let's do it. And we sat in his house one morning, and all I did was suggest ragams. That's all I did. And the tune is entirely his. And I played no part in the tuning. I just said, can we put this ragam? Few suggestions. And we tuned it in probably about half an hour to 40 minutes. That's all. And we put a dummy track out. I got a student of mine to sing a dummy track. And then we said, we're going to shoot it there. Of course, it's a sensitive shoot because we were raising serious issues on what is happening there. So the shoot was done in December 2016. I'm lucky that I do not sing in the December season, so I'm very happy to do the shooting. But my colleagues who played in the video all had concerts every day, 2 or 3 concerts, and I must thank them immensely for many reasons. Because it's a sensitive. Not everybody will want to be involved in a project that has so many complexities, and I completely understand that. But every one of them said, let's do this. It sounds incredible. Let's do it. It's a great challenge. It sounds outstanding. And they all got together, which is H.N. Bhaskar, Praveen Sparsh, and Purushottam. We left every morning at 3:30 to Ennore, every morning at 3:30 for 4 days. They came for 3 days, I went for 4 days. We shot, by 7:30 we wrapped up the shoot. Of course, it was done then because the shoot had to be done very quietly. Because we were raising serious environmental issues and concerns about the industries there. So, which is the power plants and the fly ash. And it's quite terrible, as the video would itself show you. The people's health are affected, their fishing lives are affected. A river is practically dead because of that. You can go on. And so we shot it over 3 days, and I must say that the video was done brilliantly. It's absolutely stunningly done. And all credit goes to Kebar Vasuki and Sriram for bringing up a song that raises a lot of questions in different sectors and makes us think in different ways, from the most direct political, environmental to the aesthetic and musical. And I think these are all questions we need to engage with in our own ways and move along.
We are very glad that you did that, because I think most of all, the very interesting packaging which came in the Carnatic format for this sort of an issue made everybody sit up and take note that, Arebhai, this is something very interesting. What is this? And let's read more about it.
I didn't think it would go viral at all. We just said, let's release, see what happens, and it just worked, I guess.
Oh, wow. Did you encounter any challenges or come across any interesting experiences while you were shooting there?
Yeah, of course. We were doing it very quietly. It was a clandestine shoot, as they say. And Niti was very clear that by 8:15, 8:30 we should back up, because that's when all the officers start coming, all the heavy activity begins, and then they will start asking questions. The police will land up there. So I think this is probably the first time that Carnatic musicians were involved in a project where they could have got arrested. I don't think this happened in the history of Carnatic music. But so we had many interesting experiences. I think one I remember very clearly. They were doing a shoot of me walking by a huge I think by the road actually. And there was this guy who came on the bike from the Ennore power plant, which are one of the people we've accused directly in the video of polluting the environment. He came and said, can I speak in Tamil?
Yeah, for sure.
One thing is, we say the whole thing was done with great support from the local panchayat, who also wanted this issue to be raised. So we had the local panchayat head, Srinivasan was there with us, I remember, and Srinivasan was standing there. So they were making sure there's no issues, no problems there. So Srinivasan and Saravanan is from Uru Orkatkuppam, a very dear friend and volunteer at the work that we do. And they were standing, this guy came back, so he said, there is the Kamarajar port, which is also mentioned in that video in the end. They're all culpable in what is happening there, entirely culpable. So when this man came, the man said, so Sarvan looked and said, the Kamarajar port, so this man said, video. So he said, so this man said, no, the Kamarajar port, video. Fly ash dump and we couldn't say anything. We kept quiet. But the funny thing is, we had just shot at the fly ash dump the previous day to also highlight that these guys were as criminal in what they were doing. So yeah, we had some interesting experiences like that. And there was one shot we desperately wanted to take, which we did not. There are two shots actually. There's one shot in the video, if you look at it, where you will see me walking on the other side of the road with the Ennore power plant behind me. It was done totally clandestine, so the car was parked at the opposite side, the window was lowered, and they just had their camera right at the corner. I just walked like I was walking by the road, and it was done quietly. And officers, I think, were going their bikes, and luckily nobody stopped. we couldn't, which is at the gate of the power plant. So we thought we will just, the odd thing is I was dressed in a dhoti and a kurta, which is a giveaway. If I was dressed normally, I guess you would have got away. So we tried shooting right next to the gate, but the security guys got very suspicious of what was going on. So we left. But yeah, it was interesting things to have.
Over the years.
ಮನಸ ಸಂಚರರೆ ಮಾನಸ ಸಂಚರರೆ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಣಿ ಮಾನಸ ಸಂಚರರೆ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಣಿ ಮಾನಸ ಸಂಚರರೆ
Pick up your tickets from the link that should be appearing somewhere around here or look below in the description. See you there.
Brahmani manasa sancharare Brahmani manasa sancharare Brahmani manasa sancharare